Okay, so no sound and screen goes black. Okay, so we're going to start this all over again.
Fantastic.
So we're going to count us in. We'll start this all over. We were doing so good, 6 minutes and 43 seconds. All right, so we're going to start it. So hopefully, no, come on back, Susie. Come on back, everybody. We're going to do this all over again, and we're going to do this in 3, 2, 1. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Real Estate Right Now, where we talk about real estate matters that matter to you. My name is Jay Izzo, and we are live from the Linden Crafted Team Studios here in Raleigh, North Carolina. And you know what? We're going to talk about a subject today that, quite honestly, we know it's there, but we don't know it's there. It's one of those things, we walk all over it, right? We don't really pay attention to it, but we know when it looks bad, we know when it feels bad, and we know what our feet feel, and that's flooring. Right? Because we all have flooring, and it's like breathing, right? We know the flooring is there, and so that's, but when we notice that flooring's bad, like when you can't breathe, all of a sudden it becomes a problem, right? Well, my guest today is an expert in flooring. His name is Blake Cook. He's from USA Flooring here in Raleigh, North Carolina. Blake, welcome to the show.
Jay, thank you so much for having me.
Again.
Okay. Take two.
Take two. Yeah. If you joined us earlier, we had some technical difficulties. Actually, I forgot to turn the mics on is what happened there.
I won't tell anybody.
Yeah, don't tell anybody that. So that's what ended up happening. Blake, welcome.
Thank you very much.
And all right. So let's start all over again. So flooring, when you walk when somebody buys a house and they walk into a house, what is the one thing that they feel more than any other thing?
It's flooring, guys. It's flooring. And as somebody who has recently purchased a house myself and is in flooring, I didn't even get the answer to this question right. I walked all over the floors in my house. I looked at them, but I didn't even think that my feet were sitting there touching it the whole time.
Yeah, because we think of touch only with our hands.
Right.
But our feet are telling a story. I mean, if you've ever gone hiking, right, we know about terrain.
Yep.
And when the terrain changes, we feel it under our feet, and we change right, our ankles and everything like that. But isn't the same thing kind of true when we go on a hardwoods to a carpet to tile? Right. And even LPV, right? It's a different feel.
It is. It's 100% different feel. Yeah.
On your feet.
Yep.
So it's all different feel. So what is the appeal about flooring? I mean, what is it that flooring does for the house in terms of setting it off?
I mean, it does so many things for the house. It really sort of depends on what the application is. An area rug, for instance, can really do a great job to sort of set the tone for the whole room. It can be the centerpiece, and everything else can be built around it. Similarly, you could have a flooring that is sort of a smooth consistency. It doesn't draw a whole lot of attention, that allows the rest of the room and the stuff in the room to sort of be the attention grabber. So it really kind of comes down to what aesthetic you're trying to achieve.
Yeah. One of the things that we don't want to achieve is dingy flooring, is it?
No, dingy flooring is not good. Okay. Not good. Nobody can see themselves.
What does dingy flooring do when somebody's trying to show a house? Because you had this experience.
I have. So the house that I purchased a year ago, walked in, the floors are sort of a dark brown gray, I would say mid quality, but it's an open floor plan, and it really took the space and shrunk it down. A lot of natural light, but it looked like a very small sort of living room, dining room, kitchen area, and it was all because of the floor.
Okay, so we got a question from Joelle. Thanks for watching and tuning in, Joelle. She says, I have an entire second story that needs new flooring.
Yay! Well, maybe yay. Depends on your story there.
Yeah. So we're going to just go ahead and let's answer this question real quick.
Sure.
So if it's a second story, what are the possibilities here? I mean, without you knowing.
Yeah, so it's a great question. So second floor immediately tells me that we're on plywood. So being on plywood, you can actually do pretty much anything that you want to in the second floor, whether that's, true hardwood, you could do carpet, you could do LVP. Right. So your options in the second story are really limitless because you're on a plywood subfloor.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's great answer. Hopefully that answers your question, Joelle. You can reach out to Blake at
usaflooring.com.
And is it Blake at usaflooring.com?
Literally, Blake at usaflooringnc.com.
nc.com. So Blake at usaflooringnc.com. You can reach out to him directly, and he would be happy to
answer any questions.
Answer questions and absolutely. Take a look at your space.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's talk about carpet for a second.
Absolutely. And
Because
she just asked a question, and that's perfect right there.
what is best for pets?
It feeds right into your question about carpets. So.
Yeah. So carpet has often been one of those things that has been kind of a dilemma for a lot of people because, sometimes sellers don't want to change out the carpet, even though it looks dingy and it's gross. And I actually had buyers that refused to buy a resale home because they said they didn't want to step on somebody else's toenails.
That cracks me up.
Is that awesome?
I've not heard that one yet.
Okay,
by
no,
the
it's
way.
really true. I had buyers. I literally had buyers when I was showing property years and years and years ago that literally said, we are not going to buy a resale house because I want to step on somebody else's toenails. Okay. So, but changing carpet, right? It's really one of the most inexpensive things that you can do that can add perceptual value to the home.
Absolutely. A fresh carpet, there's nothing like a fresh carpet, even if it's not, the most expensive carpet in the world. There's nothing like a fresh carpeted look to really sort of drive the apparent value of a house up. But also, more importantly, for you as a buyer, if you are a buyer, it's easier for you to be able to visualize yourself in that space because you don't have somebody else's toenails that you're having to sort of look past there. You know what I mean? So yeah, and it provides a nice, clean sort of a canvas that you can sort of start to. Oh, I could see where I put this here, that there. So, yeah.
Okay. So, but it's more than just changing out carpet, right?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, you're setting the stage for everything.
Right. But I mean, we're not just changing the carpet. You got to change the padding because here's the thing, right? I mean, you could clean it, right? Get the Bissell and whatever. And
spend that time and money. Yeah.
You could do that, right? Or have it professionally cleaned. But that's not necessarily going to get rid of the padding.
No, it's not. And I don't know if any of you guys have ever had carpet and pets. I have 2 geriatric animals, and we recently ripped the carpet out. And had we not ripped the pad out,
right,
it would have continued.
And
to
cleaning
smell.
doesn't necessarily do that.
No, it does not. It does not. It doesn't get the smell out. It'll come right back.
But you have a product that you talk about that you can put in the carpet, but the padding is got some sort of a barrier.
Yeah. So, and to her question about what is best for pets, and to your question, so there's more than 2 types of pad, but generally 2 types of pad. You have a 6-pound pad, and then you'll have an 8-pound pad with a moisture barrier, which is essentially just that layer that goes over top of the pad, keeping any moisture that's coming down from the top, so from the carpet, from sticking into the pad itself.
And that eliminates odors
from sticking into the pad.
Into the pad.
Right. And then if you get, so she asked about, Joelle asked about, what's best for pets. They make carpets nowadays that are essentially what hard surface flooring used to be, which is sort of really easy to clean and indestructible, basically. There's carpets that they make nowadays that manufacturers warranty against anything that a pet can do to it. So
really?
If you were to combine one of those carpets with the moisture barrier pad,
right,
you're essentially talking about a life-proof carpet.
Really?
Yeah. And my thought process is, if a pet can do it, well, so can a human.
Right.
Right. So, and who's to say that the pet did this or a human did this when a manufacturer is trying to execute a warranty?
Okay, so we have all these different floorings out there. And so I'm going to put you kind of on the spot here to ask you about what kind of flooring, works best, because I'm seeing a lot of LPV out, right? What's the advantage of LPV?
So luxury vinyl plank is also known as luxury vinyl tile. Just quickly, the difference between the two: one looks like a wood plank, one looks like a tile. The advantage of that sort of product line is that it is 100% waterproof. So for folks who want a nice, easy sort of a cleaning, environment where pet pees on it, or I spill something, doing dishes, whatever, nice and easy to clean up and sort of move on with life.
Yeah, my wife put that in around the kitchen because I do a lot of the cooking.
Okay.
And I'm notorious
making a mess.
For making a mess. Yeah,
so that's why she kicked me out of the kitchen.
But you cannot make an omelet without breaking some eggs. I'm sorry.
I agree with
that. But it is easy to clean, and it is. Hardwoods, are they still popular?
It's a great question, and they are still popular. The tones of hardwoods is what's really changed.
Okay.
And by tones, sort of the color tones. So it used to be that sort of the warm, rich tones were were all that you saw on hardwoods.
Yeah.
And
the cherry wood.
Oh,
that walnut.
Right. That sort of classic hardwood look,
Yeah,
right? And sort of those tones in general sort of dominated the flooring space as a whole, right? Whether it was LVP, it didn't matter what it was, those were the tones. What we have seen recently in recent history, if you will, is a shift to sort of the cooler tones, the grayscale, if you will.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so I say, recent history, because now we're actually starting to see a reversion back to the warmer tones.
Really?
Yeah. So it's like Converse, Converse, the shoe back in what, the 80s and 90s,
right.
it was all the rage, kind of went out of style for a while. Now you're seeing Converse come back, like wildfire. Yeah.
The Chuckies are back in
exactly.
style.
They're back, man.
So how often does that change?
I don't
in the industry.
Maybe every 10 to 15
Really?
years. Yeah.
So basically, if you hold on to what you got right now,
it's coming back eventually, right?
Right.
Right. So and we are literally, right now seeing the reversion back to those warm tones. But to your point about hardwoods, there was a good period of time where sort of the gray wash was what was in. So you'd be looking at stains that they might be sort of a blonde wood stain, but they're going to have that gray wash sort of overtone coming in on the background.
Now, is there a type of hardwood that's real popular right now versus another?
So acacia used to be really popular. Bamboo used to be really popular. So there was a lot that used to be really popular. Sort of the traditional, it's always good. Oak is, it's never going anywhere.
Oak is always in style.
It's a classic. Yeah. It's never going to go
well, and
anywhere.
you can do things right to changing the tones.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right? I mean, you can go darker, but it's hard to go lighter, right?
Unless you have a really good hardwood refinisher. Absolutely.
Okay.
So generally speaking, once you go dark, it is hard to get all of the deepness of that stain out. So I've put a light stain on after sanding off a dark stain, and some of that dark stain, depending on how grooved that wood is, some of that dark stain likes to really stay down in those grooves. So some of the texture of the wood can also impact how the stain is removed or not.
So when we talk about flooring in general, right, and we're talking about the feel of flooring, right?
Yeah.
Because you walk into a house and you see flooring, and there's some flooring that just feels harder. Some of these hardwood floors feels different than others.
They do.
Right?
Yeah.
I know this was kind of like one of those things where we don't, but they do feel different.
They do. There is quality matters, particularly when you're talking about hardwoods. I'll just take my house, for instance, the one that I just bought. We were ripping out engineered hardwood. Well, some people would say, well, why are you ripping out hardwood? It's good stuff. And to your point, the feeling, when I was walking across the hardwood, I could just tell that it was lesser quality, and it looked lesser quality as well. But more importantly, how it felt when I was walking on it, I could tell it was a thinner hardwood. There wasn't much cushion between that and the subfloor. Hardwood is supposed to be a soft, quiet experience when you walk across it. This was a very tinky sort of experience walking across it. I could feel the planks wiggling, so that told me that the plank was pretty thin.
Right.
So there is a definite feel when you're walking across a quality hardwood.
That's interesting. Isn't it interesting that when we were talking before the show, and asked the question about, it's the one thing that we feel, right? But now having like this, does it feel thin? I know that was not part of my scripting here.
No.
What was that? But when you say it, right, you can really feel a difference in a quality hardwood, right?
Absolutely. And I would sort of extrapolate that out to any hard surface. Any hard surface, when you're walking across it, you're going to be able to tell pretty quickly just by walking on it, what is this a quality product or not?
Okay. All right, let's talk tile.
Oh, tile. Let's talk tile.
Because tile comes in all shapes and sizes, right? And typically we put it in the bathroom. Is it only in the bathroom, or do we put tile in other places? Kitchen.
I've seen laundry rooms.
Okay.
Tile, to your point though, in general, is a bathroom oriented product. You could put it in the bathtub, you can put it in the shower, you can put it on the floor, you put it on the walls. You also see it a lot in kitchens. Nice black backsplashes to sort of accentuate the space.
Right.
Tile is a very versatile flooring, but it is also one of the most important to get right with labor. Your installer is incredibly important when it comes to tile.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Easy to mess up.
It's easy to mess up, isn't it?
Yeah, hard to fix once you mess it up too.
Yeah. Right. Because you can't.
It's down. It's down, and everything's dried at that point.
And then you have to almost break it to
literally
get it up again. All right. Let's stay here with tile for a second here, because there's people who go, I got to have the Italian tile, or I got to have the Spanish tile, or right.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a quality difference in tiles when in reality, is there a difference? Because I mean, I get it. People want to go, well, this is an Italian tile, right. Or this is from Spain. This is the Spanish tile.
Right. So is there a quality difference? Absolutely. Right. Okay. There's a reason that this shoe costs more expensive than this shoe, right? This tile is more expensive. Sometimes that has to do with shipping and manufacturing costs, and not necessarily the quality of the tile. So that's also something to consider. But then you have the different types of tile, which I'm certainly not going to be able to hit them all off head, but just quickly, ceramic versus porcelain. When are you going to use ceramic versus when are you going to use porcelain? For instance, I wouldn't necessarily be using a porcelain to walk on. Generally, porcelain is going to be sort of a smoother texture, and when I'm walking on it and it gets wet,
slip.
Right. So it's definitely not going to be the floor of my shower either. It's going to be something that's got more texture to kind of give me something to walk on.
Okay. Do tiles come in different thicknesses?
Oh my gosh, different thicknesses, different shapes, you name it. Tile, yes, sir. They come in all different shapes and sizes.
Is there, you talked about hardwood flooring. You can tell when one's thin or right. It feels tinty or whatever that the term is for that, right? Or it feels solid and feels soft to your feet. Do you notice a feel on your feet with tile?
I'll be honest with you, it's a lot more difficult to puzzle that out. To the layperson, I would say not really. The biggest difference in tile is the texture. Is it a smooth, polished texture, or does it have texture lines in it that sort of grab your feet? That's the biggest feeling difference when you're walking across tile. Because tile, I mean, it doesn't matter what kind of tile you're laying, you're generally going to have some sort of board underneath the tile with which it adheres to. So that itself provides a very consistent walking application.
Okay, we got another question for you. What is the price range for LVP? I did say LPV. LVP.
You did. I didn't want to correct you. I was going to run with
correct
it.
me.
Oh, really?
You should correct me if I say it. I'm not saying I'm dyslexic, but I could be. I could be. So, what is the price range? Can you give a price range for LVP flooring per square foot?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, again, what makes this shoe more or less expensive than that shoe is really the quality, right? So you can start out with luxury vinyl plank. Base level, you're probably in that $2 to $3 range, but then I've got some luxury vinyl planks that are, $9 to $10 a square foot.
Right.
So it really comes down to what it is, kind of like we were talking about with hardwood. It really kind of comes down to what it is you're looking for in terms of feeling, and then the aesthetic that you're trying to create.
Right.
If you wanted a nice thick luxury vinyl plank to walk nice and quiet and soft like a wood walk, well, then you're talking about a product that's going to cost more to get you some of those features. Right. So that might put you, if you wanted a 1/2 inch thick, nice soft luxury vinyl plank with some texturing that looks like real wood, that might put you in like the $8 a square foot range.
Okay.
Right. But if you were able to get away with something that, scratch resistance was entry level, you're trying to sell a home. Perfect. For instance, you're trying to sell a home. Right. You would want to put in an entry level luxury vinyl plank that's got some nice cool tones to it. Most likely, whoever buys that home is going to come in and redo the floors.
Have you found that LVP, and I did say it right this time.
Yes, you got it. You got it.
Have we found that LVP is become more popular over hardwoods?
Oh my gosh. So I love this question. I get that. So when customers come into USA Flooring, we get this question a lot. So yes, luxury vinyl plank is sort of taken over the market, if you will. And much like we're seeing a reversion from cool tones now back to warm tones, there are now products that are coming out that are meant to sort of take back the mantle from luxury vinyl plank and sort of send it back the other way. So we saw a shift in hardwoods. So what we're seeing now with a lot of hardwoods is not solid hardwoods. Manufacturers are getting away from solid hardwoods and offering engineered hardwoods because they can do things like make it waterproof. So when it clicks in together, that same technology that we love about luxury vinyl plank, well, we can now apply that to hardwoods, right? So, but I can't do that with a solid hardwood. It has to be an engineered hardwood. So, and there's products that function very similarly to luxury vinyl plank in terms of scratching and in terms of waterproofing, but that have the look and the core of wood. So there, luxury vinyl plank is still all the rage, but we are starting to see some products try and take back that mantle.
You know, what's interesting, I know we've done this in a couple homes, is we put LVP.
You got it again?
Yeah, I got it again. Boy. We put LVP over the top of hardwoods.
Yes. And I like this. So we said, I don't know if we said this when we were blacked out or not, but there's only two types of flooring in case we're blacked out that actually add real value to your home, which is hardwoods and tile. So if it's me and I'm in a home that has hardwoods and I want to change the look up, well, I'm not going to rip those hardwoods out. I'm going to change the look up with a nice luxury vinyl plank, get the functionality that I need. And then when I go to sell the home, because inevitably I'm going to sell at some point, right? I still got hardwoods, right? I can still list the house as hardwoods, right? I can pull the luxury vinyl plank up, boom, I've got hardwoods again, So I'm retaining the value that hardwoods gives to my home, but still going over top with the LVP, so I get the look that I want.
Okay, so here's one of the questions from me, because I've been through homes that have had hardwoods and have had them refinished, and the dust,
oh my gosh,
is
it's a nightmare.
Right. But I've even been in homes where they've put in hardwoods and there's still dust because they got to finish them right after they put them in and the whole thing like that. Have they been able to kind of reduce that problem?
Oh my. So what a loaded question. So first and foremost, yes, they make dustless sanding and refinishing.
Okay.
So dustless, I mean, and you can imagine it as like a fancy sander that has a little vacuum bag on it. Right. Now, how dustless is dustless? I think to your point, there is no such thing as sanding and refinishing a hardwood on site that is truly dustless. Right. I went through this in Wilmington before I sold my home there, and this was before I worked in flooring, and I was unprepared, and there was about a 1/4 inch of dust on everything when we were done.
It's incredible.
It's pervasive. I mean, if you don't hire a professional cleaning company to come in, you will literally find it a year later on top of that cup that was in the cabinet.
Unbelievable.
It's crazy. So, the real answer to your question is yes, there is such a thing as dustless hardwood refinishing. However, is it actually dustless? Absolutely not.
Okay. So then the question becomes, and maybe this makes LVP. Doggone it. I don't know what's going on there.
I love it.
Okay. I don't know. So installing LVP though,
it makes it attractive because you don't have that dust bowl that comes along with that, right? The other option, and this is, if you were really dead set on a hardwood, which we have a lot of customers that are, you go with a pre-finished hardwood. Right. And you can go with the pre-finished engineered hardwood, and now you can get the waterproofing. You can get some of the texturing that you find in luxury vinyl planks. You can get some of the color variations that you find in luxury vinyl plank that you really can't get in a true hardwood.
Okay. In terms of lasting, like, how long does it last? Is there, comparing LVP to hardwoods, is there a time frame where we go, oh, your LVP needs to be changed versus sanding out your hardwoods?
Oh my gosh. So full of great questions here. Okay. So this is a loaded question here. So scratch resistance is one of the features that would determine how long we can make it, right? So with luxury vinyl plank, its scratch resistance is determined by what's called a mill wear layer. Sort of an entry level millware layer is an 8 millware layer, and you're going to find that in some of your big box stores, and that's what's going to be less than $2 a square foot. But when you talk about something that's going to have the staying power 10, 15 years, you're at least at a 20 mil wear layer.
Got it.
And at the end of the day, a mil wear layer is literally just a piece of plastic that's put over top of the print of a luxury vinyl plank. And that piece of plastic, the thicker it is, the more resilient and scratch resistant the product is.
Okay.
Really depends.
Okay. And then with hardwoods.
So whole nother basket. So hardwoods, doesn't matter what hardwood you got, it's susceptible to scratching. Right. The beautiful things about hardwoods when they do scratch over time, to your point, is you can, on solid hardwoods, you can come back and refinish them 10 or so years later. That would be about the time frame, I'd say 5 to 10 years, sort of depending on the wear patterns in the house.
Okay. If
you've got big dogs, you got a ton of kids running around, then you might be refinishing your hardwoods in 5 years instead of 10 years, right? Okay. And if you have that busy of a sort of a traffic pattern in your house, I would be going with a higher quality luxury vinyl plank so I don't have to do this again.
Okay, easy question for you.
Sure.
If I want to change carpet out, do I have to move my furniture out of the room first?
Love that question. You can pay me to move it out. We'll move it out for you all day long. No, so the real answer there is if the vendor, whomever you're using, offers to move the furniture, 9 times out of 10, they're going to move the furniture to one side of the room, rip out the old carpet, move the furniture to the other side of the room, rip out the other half of the carpet, install one half, move the furniture over, then install the other half. It is far more difficult to get furniture out of the room. If it's easy to get the furniture out of the room, we'll take it out, no problem.
Right.
If it's one of those that it's going to have to be dismantled, that might be something that you would want to work on ahead of time. Or if it was one of those, like my wife is incredibly particular about our bed. So we actually took our bed apart and moved it out of the room so that it didn't get damaged.
That's awesome.
Right.
We did the time.
What'd you do? You said what?
We've done the time.
Oh, already?
Yeah, I know.
What?
Yeah.
I could do this for hours with you,
I know, man.
I freaking love you,
This
dude.
is fun. This is a lot of
yeah.
So tell people how to get a hold of you.
So you can reach me via email, blake@usaflooringnc.com. I'm also a cell phone guy. Text call 252-702-7810.
Repeat that number.
252-702-7810. That's my personal cell phone. Okay. Or you can come check us out. I got a showroom in Raleigh, Capitol Boulevard. We're right across the street from Lowe's Hardware.
That's awesome.
Heck yeah, man.
You've been great, man.
I've really enjoyed this, Jay. This has been fun, man.
Considering that we had to do it twice.
I'd do it again. Let's do it. Can we go 3?
That was awesome.
Jay, you're amazing.
Hey, folks, you know what? This is real estate right now. You know what? We know you had a lot of choices. You chose us. Thank you for doing that. You know what? Tell your friends and, tune into the podcast because this does become a podcast. We're not just live. And you know what? Eventually, and I'll give you the date. It's just a surprise. We're going to be on TV. So you know what, folks? Thank you again. And as I say to you everywhere, all over the world, ciao.